Hello and welcome to my channel where we talk about tips and tricks for teaching elementary music. Okay, here's today's video. So today I thought I'd talk to you about AI. There seems to be three camps when it comes to AI. There's the rise of the machines and maybe don't have anything to do with it. There's the I don't know that I need it, or why should I play around with it, or I'm not tech savvy, or whatever. And then there's the oh, I'm all in and I can't wait to do everything with it and make my life so much easier. So this is not a video about that. Today I want to explore using ChatGPT and also this other AI that I have access to through my district. And I want to explore and see what could we actually do with it, and would it be helpful to me at all personally? Or do I feel like it would just be more extra work, or all of those things? In addition to that, I want to keep in mind that, and I hope you'll keep this in mind, although AI can be a fantastic tool and be very helpful and all those things, we're the creatives. Yes, lightening the load is a good idea, but my personal opinion, don't let it do all the music stuff for you, okay? Because that's where we're the creatives. I personally, I don't know where you fall out on this, but I personally have a little bit of an issue with the fact that they've taken all these music catalogs of multiple artists and put it into AI models, and then the AI models is able to create, a song, a fake song and all that, with the fake, fake singers, fake instruments, all of those things based off of other people's IP and other people's musical blood, sweat, and tears. So all of that being said, my personal opinion is if I'm going to use it at all, I'm going to try not to use it on the creative side too much. We are going to play around and just see like what capacity it has with that, with the two models that I have that I can work with, because I don't know. So you're going to get a first-hand reaction from me. I've never done either one of these two projects that we're going to do. I've never done them before. So it'll be an in-the-moment reaction. All right, let's jump in. Okay, so I thought what I'd do first is see if it could make a lesson plan based off of objectives. So I'm in the state of Virginia, so I've got my Virginia state standards of learning, and I'm going to find one to work with. Let's see. Let's go to, I wanted to go down here to technique application. Let's do a second grade one. Let's do this objective right here. The student will determine music literacy, identify written melodic patterns that move upward, downward, and stay the same, and use the musical alphabet to notate melodic patterns. Let's just stop it right there. So let me go ahead and get this. And I'm going to come over here to ChatGPT. And I'm going to say, write a 45-minute, no, let's just make it a short, let's make it a short activity. Write a 15-minute, write a lesson plan for elementary music, grade 2, using the following objective enter Oh, all right. Let's not even try it on ChatGPT. It doesn't like me, so we'll just go into the one that I used before. I've actually never used this. This is called Magic School Enterprise. It's my district has it, and we're going to look at, there's like a chat bot and all that. We're going to go ahead and throw this into the lesson plan, see what happens. Okay, so this is a little bit better because it's already designed to do lesson plans. I've actually never used this for this purpose. I will tell you the purpose that I used it for after we go through the lesson plan. Okay, so we're going to do second grade. We're going to put the topic, the objective in there. Students will view notated music on the smartboard. All right, generate. Okay, it's clearly kicking out a bunch of stuff, and we will go through it because I'm curious. All right. AI generated lesson title, Melodic Movers, Reading and Notating Simple Melodies. I have never named my lesson plans. So this seems weird to me that it would have this long. I don't know, do you guys name your lesson plans? The most I do is I name it by song title. Like, for example, if I was doing Mary Had a Little Lamb, I might say second grade Mary Had a Little Lamb, but that's like the most I name it. My student teachers always do second grade and they do the date. It's just the way that they think about it. All right, learning objectives. Students will be able to identify whether written melodic patterns move upward, downward, or stay the same, and use the musical alphabet to notate simple melodic patterns. So it took what I put in there and just, streamlined it a little bit. Assessments. Oh, it's got the different types of assessments. Formative teacher observation checklist. All students respond to 6 short smartboard examples. Students show thumb up for up, thumb down for down, and fist for same. That's quite interesting. Because I usually do like point to the sky for high, point to, or going up, high or going up, point to the ground for low and going down, and like this for same, like if it was a repeat. That's interesting, but I do that with K and 1, the pointing. Second grade, I don't really have them point. I just ask them to tell me. So I find that very interesting that I put that in there. Okay. And the observation checklist, and that you would put 6 short smartboard examples. This is doable. Would be doable for a class. Summative. Students complete a 6-item written task. View notated melodic patterns on the smartboard. Mark direction for each. Then notate 3 teacher-played short melodies using the musical alphabet on staff paper. This would be a problem. Right here. The fact, I'm not saying students can't notate things, but if you're putting staff paper in a second grade student's hands and you're playing something on the piano, they can't see what you're playing, right? If you're playing something on a bell set and you tell them the letters that you're playing, and like if it's a step bell, obviously they could see directionality on the step bell, but they wouldn't automatically know that you're playing, like especially if you're in the middle of the bell and you're holding it up here and they can't see the letters, they might not know if you're on A or G, say for example in the middle of like a C to C step bell. So notating the 3 teacher-played short melodies using the musical alphabet on staff paper, that would be problematic. You would really have to walk them through that and say, okay, this is an A, where do we put A, all of that. And you'd have to like probably do it as a grouping, as a like you're writing it on the smartboard, you're actually writing it out as they're doing it, is what I'm thinking. So that would be problematic. And Marking the direction for each, that would be okay. Success criteria. Students correctly identify direction for at least 5 of 6 patterns and correctly notate 2 of 3. Yeah, that's for success criteria. That's a good amount of success. Key points. Melodic direction describes how notes move upward, downward, or same. True. The musical alphabet uses letters A through G. True. Notation links staff positions to letter names. Yeah, but that's a true statement, but that's a confusing thing for kids. Notation links staff positions to letter names. That's a little confusing. Small stepwise moves and larger jumps both show direction. True. Visual patterns on the smartboard help connect hearing and reading. True. All right, opening. Display a large, simple 3-note pattern on the smartboard. All right, so let's say we've got, let's not use leisure lines. Okay, so in our brain, let's say we've got E, bottom line treble, F right next door to it, and G right above that. Okay, so stepwise motion with 3 notes. Ask, does this melody go up, down, or stay the same, right? Quick whole class response using gesture, thumbs up, thumbs down, or fist. Tell students they will read many short patterns on the smartboard and then write their own. Okay, I mean, that's a good opening. All right. Introduction to new materials. Show the musical alphabet graphic, A to G on the screen. Point to each letter as you sing the scale tones named simply. I don't like it can be written that way, but that's not how I would teach that. Depends on what my goal is here. Is my goal for them to do treble clef? Every good boy does fine. What I'm doing in my classroom is every good burger deserves fries. That's the newest one that one of my students came up with a couple of years ago, and I've kept it. So is that my goal, is treble clef placement and them knowing line letter names and space names? Is my goal a C to C scale situation? Either one of those does not lead me to start with A. Because you know, as a fellow musician, if you're watching this, chances are pretty good that you're at least a musician, if not a music teacher. And you know, as a musician, that when we think about how to learn how to read music, I never start on A. I never teach starting on A. Yeah, so I'm not sure, because even if you were doing a solfege scenario, and the movable do and you're just thinking in C because it just makes life easier, that's law. You wouldn't even start on law to teach solfege. So I don't know. It could be written that way, but I don't know that that's how I would teach it. I would either teach it from a treble clef perspective because I'm really trying to get literacy involved, right? Or I would teach it from, maybe I'd use the bell set to like a C to C step bell set where they can really see and do it that way, C to C. But I don't think I would start at A. Anyway, I'm interested to, know if that's how other people think or not, but that's where my brain goes. Okay, demonstrate 3 examples on the staff. A pattern that goes up, C, D, E. Interesting that they're doing ledger lines. I don't have a problem with ledger lines in this scenario. On the whole, this is 2nd grade, and I'm not saying 2nd grade can't do ledger lines, but 2nd grade is when I start teaching treble clef. So for me, ledger lines complicate things a little bit too much because it's just easier to focus on that 5 and 4 at the very beginning, and then you can add ledger lines in. So I don't know, but so you could easily change that and not be CDE, but be EFG, like I said. One that goes down, EDC. One that stays the same, CCC. Highlight letter names beside each note, right? That's easy enough to do. You write the letter names in. Have students echo each example by singing or saying the letter names. That's the other reason that I might not do do, re, mi, right? It just depends. It just depends. Honestly, I don't think there's anything super wrong with it. I probably just wouldn't start on C, just me personally. All right, have students echo each example by singing or saying the letter name. C, D, E, E, D, C, 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 C. I don't have perfect pitch. I'm probably nowhere near C, okay? But you get the idea. Have students echo each example by singing or saying the letter names. Anticipated misconception. This is interesting that they put this down here. Students may call a repeated pitch up or down. Clarify that repeated pitch means the same. That is true. That sometimes students don't hear the same. Sometimes students call up, down, and down, up. And that's because it's an ear training thing. When you think about this, we're doing this for second grade class. If they've been in your school for a while, then they've had hopefully kindergarten or first grade music, and now they're with you in second grade. But and they might have gotten intonation might be there because especially if you're singing a lot in the classroom. But as far as like being able to, having that feeling of where your voice is, whether it's going up, going down, staying the same, being able to hear if something's getting higher or lower, especially if it's not an extreme. We know, if you're doing in big leaps, most of the time kids can hear that. But if you're just going stepwise motion, one way or the other, sometimes they can't tell that you're going up and going down. It can, so that could be interesting. Anyway, all right, guided practice. Behavioral expectations, eyes on the smartboard, hands free for gestures, voices for singing. Practice 1, show 4-note examples. Students respond with gesture. Teacher checks with quick tally. Show 4 3-note patterns. Students write letter names on mini smartboards. Boy, this is getting into a really big, like, taking longer than I feel I would take with this, but okay. So that's where what you could do is you could use this lesson plan and break it up and be like, we're going to do this much of this lesson plan this day, this much the next time, so on and so forth over a period of weeks, because of the fact that elementary music in particular, we cover multiple objectives in the same class time. Probably touch 15, 16, 17 different objectives in the same class time if we're honest, because you're doing steady beat, you're doing rhythm reading, you're doing listening, where you're talking about timbre, where you might even talk about genre or cultural connections or something like that. You're doing movement, and you might do form. You've got melody you might be talking about. You've got instruments that you're talking about, like what instruments you're doing in the classroom, in addition to the timbre of listening instruments that you might be doing. So you're talking technique, you're talking dynamics, tempo, all of these things, and I'm sure I've missed plenty of them, but you're doing all of these things on a over and over basis, and you're not going to hang out. I know I put 15 minutes in this thing, but you're not going to hang out and do this for 15 minutes, I don't think. But I could see maybe doing, like a 5-minute at the end of class time, the next week do 5 minutes and more, and so on. Okay, they've got scaffolding questions. First note, which direction does the second go from the first? How can you write that direction using letter names? Monitor, circle, note students who hesitate, prompt with finger tracing on staff, or sing the notes for students who need modeling. I would also use your hand staff, So here we are, we're on E, okay? And the next note is F, so which direction did we go on your hand, right? Did we get closer to the ceiling or closer to the floor? Which one is it, right? Okay, independent practice, behavioral expectations work. Oh, there would be no, I guess if you're going to do that writing component, there'd be an independent practice. But if you're in the elementary music room, pretty much everything is whole group, whole group, whole group. I know some teachers will do centers at some point. I've never been successful at that. Part of that is I have a very small room, so it's hard to spread out like that. But the noise component of centers is problematic if you're going to do something musical, like actual performance related at a center, like come over here and clap this rhythm out, come over here and play this on the bells, come over here and sing this little tune. That could be problematic if you have that at all your centers. I know you can do other things like, play little memory concentration games, or what letter goes with this notated note, matching cards or those sorts of things. But for me, I've done them in the past, but I've never had great success with them, so I don't tend to use that. But so most of the time, so all the time in my classroom is full group practice. But you could, if you were doing this, you could put, give them staff paper and have them do that, okay? All right, so it says 12 minutes would be how long this would take. I find very interesting that they think that this would take 12 minutes. This assumes that they have a basic understanding of how to write, how to draw quarter notes, half notes, or whole notes, whichever one you want them to use on the staff paper. So that would have to be a pre-taught thing if you're going to say, draw me 3 quarter notes or 4 quarter notes with a pattern. That would be something that they would have to know how to do, right? So just something like that. Plus, if you wanted them to put the treble clef on it, because they would have to put the treble clef if you want it to be accurate. If you wanted them to put a time signature on, if you did it in 4, you could leave it without a time signature. You really could leave it without a time signature if you wanted to anyway, just because it's not about that. It's about, learning that notation placement of notes. So, but I think you definitely would have to have the treble clef there. So they would have to know how to draw a treble clef, and they'd have to know how to at least draw a quarter note. Okay, all right, so then they've got differentiation, provide a 3-note template with letter name hints for the first and second notes, use color-coded sticky dots on staff positions to show pitch relationships. So anyway, so I do that. Anyway, on grade level, okay, is what it's saying. Above grade level, notate a 4-note pattern heard by the teacher that includes 1 repeated pitch and 1 jump. That is, to me, is complicated. All right, closing, quick exit activity. Show 2 final smart word patterns. Students write direction on sticky notes and place it on the desk. Oh, this is like an exit ticket. Extension. Students compose a 4-measure phrase using letter names. Homework. No, I don't give homework. No, that's please confirm which standard set or state you want used. All right, so this is quite interesting to me. I think there are definitely some takeaways here that could be used. The problem that I have, this is not a bad lesson. If a student teacher were to create this in my classroom with their own brain and not using the chat, and this is what they came up with, I'd be like, okay, run with that and see how successful the students are going to be. Yeah, I mean, it would be a decent lesson. But like I said, I would break it up. The biggest problem that I have with it is my district, I don't know about yours, the entire district has to use the same lesson plan format. This is not what that looks like. So I would have to take this and do a lot of copying and pasting and all of those other things. And my lesson plans are just so much easier in that I pretty much have it set up with like all the educationese that it needs to say, like the students will sing blah 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 using their natural singing voice and correct intonation. The students will play with rhythmic accuracy. The students will have proper technique. The students will match the choreography form-based choreography, you know, all the things that it's supposed to say in there, and I just changed song titles. So for me, I wouldn't need to do any of this because it's already, like I said, but it's interesting to know that it could do it. Okay, so we're gonna stop that, and we're gonna go look at a different thing now. Okay, so the only thing that I have ever used, like legit used in my classroom with this magic school, was I had a song that I wanted to use for a program, but I wasn't crazy about the lyrics. They weren't bad lyrics, but I just wanted to adapt them to do something different than what they were. And I had the, you know, the backing track, you know, so it would be a good recording to use and all of those things, but I needed to change the lyrics. So what I did was, I don't know if you can see this, well, I'm gonna open it up so you can, but there's this thing in here in this magic school. By the way, if your district doesn't have this, it says on the website when you go to it, Magic School AI, that it's free for teachers. So I'm sure that you could probably sign up for it yourself. But anyway, it says song generator. Write a custom song about any topic to the tune of the song of your choice. So I went in there and I typed in what I wanted, and it gave me back the lyrics, a bunch of lyrics with all the things that I put in there with that could be sung to the tune of the song that I was using. And I went in there and I used probably about 50% of what it gave me, and then used my own creative lyrics, you know, to make it go together. So I didn't like just copy and paste and here was my whole thing. So we're gonna do that. And I'm also curious, I don't know the answer to this question. We're gonna see if it can even do it. I don't know if it can do something notated, okay? I don't think that this particular AI was set up to do that. So we're gonna see if we can get back into ChatGPT and see if that'll do anything notated. I don't know, maybe you guys have already played around with this, but let's do this. Let's say the song topic is going to be spring, flowers in the springtime. Whoops. Okay. What do I want it to include? Let's see. Spring brings beautiful flowers, even though it rains a lot. I don't know. And we're gonna do it to, you can see they already have an artist name and song title here. Let's do it to, let's do it to row, row, row your boat. See, it gives it a title, which is fun. Spring's colorful gift. Grow, grow, grow your flowers gently through the rain. Springtime brings such beauty. Springtime brings such beauty. That's a little wordy. Again and again and again. Also a little wordy, right? Bloom, bloom, bloom so brightly, petals soft and new. Even when the raindrops fall, colors shine right through. That's not bad. Spring, spring, spring is here now. Spring, spring is here now. I don't know, that's a little wordy. Flowers wake and rise. Raindrops help them grow so tall beneath the warming skies. That's not bad. I might say neath the warming skies. Life, 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 returning gardens come alive. Beautiful blooms in every shade. Watch the flowers thrive. So it's not bad. You could take, all of it if you wanted to. I mean, I wouldn't do it. This is a personal opinion. You do you and do what you want to do, okay? I personally would not take this entire thing and exactly the way that it is, not change anything to it, and use it in a program like that. I wouldn't do it that way. Now, I might take half of it, 75% of it, 80% of it, whatever, and use it in a program. I might take, all of it and use it in a regular everyday class lesson and tell them, hey, this is what AI gave me. What do you think we should adjust, change? Is there anything you want to add? All of those things you could do. And then that becomes part of composition a little bit, part of improvisation a little bit, in that is, I know it's not musical improvisation, but if you're changing the lyrics up, you get where I'm going with that, okay? So there's that. So now I'm curious, I don't know if it has the capability to do this. So I'm gonna say, can you notate this on the treble clef in the key of C major? It might not have the ability to do this, so we're going to see. Okay, I'm not able to create musical notation or sheet music. The tool can only generate written song lyrics. If you'd like to notate this song, I recommend you using free music notation software like MuseScore, which I happen to have, Flat.io, and Notate Flight. So MuseScore would have to be a situation where you would have to go in and actually type it in. If there is an AI component to that, I have not seen it or whatever, and it probably costs money to use the AI component anyway. So I'm not going to explore that. But we're going to go into ChatGPT now and see if it has a component at all that would do a notated part, taking that same stuff that we got from Magic School. Just curious, never tried it before. Let's see. All right. Take the following lyrics and notate it to the tune of row, row, row your boat, using the treble clef and the key of C major. Ah, do you see? That's interesting. Below is your poem set to the traditional row, row, row your boat melody in C major using treble clef formatted in Lily Pond, something I don't know anything about. So it can be rendered as real sheet music. This keeps the standard tune structure and applies your 4 verses as separate lyric standards. If you want, I can actually convert this into actual printable sheet music PDF format. simplifying it for a beginning piano, or align the lyrics more tightly to exact rhythmic syllables. Let's do this one. Convert it to actual printable sheet music PDF. Paste. Go. All right, your printable sheet music is ready. You want a more real engraving style version, proper note heads, stems, measures, and a line like published music. I can upgrade this into a proper lily pond rendered. I'm not going to do that. This Chat GPT is just free. I'm not paying for anything. All right, I'm just curious what it's going to end up looking like. So meanwhile, while that is downloading, interesting. So if you wanted to do this, so far what we've learned is Magic School AI does not have any notation ability whatsoever, okay? It would require you to go into Flat.io or Music, MuseScore, or any of the other, notation software things, and pretty much you'd be doing the work of going in there and opening up a new file and, whatever instrument you want, piano, whatever, and creating your own written notation for that and putting the lyrics in, okay? But here, this almost looks like shaker notes, right? If you're familiar with that, if not, ignore me completely. But early notation, Gregorian chant, all of that. There's no time signature. There's no treble clef actually in there. I mean, they didn't even pitch it on treble. Look at that. They called E, C. Yeah, this right here wouldn't even be worth your time. Let's do this. Let's do this Music XML. Because I don't know about this lily pond. So I don't know anything about lily ponds, so we're just gonna leave that over there. But let's see what happens. Okay. You can open directly in MuseScore and will report as a playable score. If you want, I can next fix rhythm. So it looks like I'm still on free. I'm still on free ChatGPT. I haven't done anything beyond free. It says it can fix the rhythm to match the real row, row, row your boat, add proper 4 verses as separate lyric lines, turn it into a polished SATB piano accompaniment arrangement. That'll be interesting. I just want to see what the basic was. Let's download the Music XML. And okay, I see what happened here is the lyrics got all funky, right? But at least you have the actual notation. Now, do you notice though, there's still a problem here. Now this is a Music XML file, and it's possible that the lily pond might have done it differently, but do you see there's no measure lines? There's no time signature, which I'm not too worried about in a 4/4 setting, but there's no measure lines, right? And plus, row your boat gently down the stream. Isn't there a rest in there at some point? Or a half note, depending on how it's written originally, I don't know. So this is still problematic, right? So anyway, but it would be a stepping off point, because then you could take this and you could save as yeah. save as that. And then you have all the editing ability. Okay, so what did I learn today during this little AI deep dive? I learned that it does pretty decent lesson plans, detailed lesson plans, little, hiccups here and there, but not major stuff that you could definitely work with. I also learned, which I've known this already, that as far as lyrics go, when you tell it like a specific tune to go to, that it can usually do a pretty decent job with it, and it did, and I would probably have used maybe 80% of those lyrics and adjusted accordingly. The biggest problem, I thought, was the notated component. You had the one software that wouldn't even do it, the Magic School AI. ChatGPT would do it, but it did it in that weird lily pad looking thing, which I don't really know enough about that particular, I don't know anything about that. It's the first time I've heard about it today, so can't even speak to that. It eventually gave it to us as a music XML file, which through it was able to be opened by MuseScore, which still was problematic because it didn't have any measures with it. It didn't have a treble clef with it. No. It did have the treble clef. It didn't have the time signature. It didn't have any measure lines, and there was either a rest missing or possibly a half note missing. It was just written in all quarters, and of course the lyrics were all jumbled, which I understand why that would happen. So you would have to do a lot of doctoring and editing it up, but at least it would give you a start. But it's one of those things, is it almost faster to just do it myself than to do that start, right? Maybe just go in there and do all the notation yourself, but then take the lyrics that you got from creating the poem and do it that way, or whatever would work best for you. It's all about how much time you want to spend on the project. I would imagine if you did this quite often, where you were creating songs this way, that you would get more streamlined with it, with everything else. So that's, I thought it was an interesting dive into AI. I don't know what I would use or not use in my classroom with this. I'd have to think about it. But all that being said, I hope that you learned something today, and that you will remember to subscribe. Have a fantastic day.